Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rotoworld Football Show on Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. They said it could not be done, Denny Carter. I, of course, am Patrick Daugherty. They said we could not ever get to week one.
It's true.
That it would never happen, that it was fake news, that it was a pipe dream, that you were naive. I was told so many times I was naive for thinking week one would ever get here.
That time would continue marching on?
Yes, that time would continue marching on, and that we would not keep debating the same 5 data points from the 2024 season. Well, I got news for you.
I would say 7.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to get new data points this week. We have news before that, of course, though. Jauan Jennings is back at 49ers practice. Jalen Coker, unfortunately, is injured. He had become like a late-round fantasy hope. Now he has a very severe, quote-unquote, quad tendon pull. Didn't really know something you could pull. I guess I knew that, actually. You can pull any muscle. He's hurt real bad, and he's out at least 4 games. Quinshon Judkins, we don't really know what's going on with him, but he sounds like he's about to report to the team. But then we have actual football games. We have the Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday evening on a little network called NBC, on a streaming service you may have heard of called Peacock. We're going to preview this game. We're going to preview the Friday night game between a resurgent warpath, Patrick Mahomes. Denny Carter agrees with me. Playing the Los Angeles Chargers in a little country you may have heard of called Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
Called Brazil, on a service you may have heard of called YouTube. So we're going to preview those 2 games. And then we're going to talk about, joking about like just so desperately needing new data points on some things. And we're going to talk about like 5 or 6 situations where we are most eager to get new data points, new information, just like stop projecting, stop guessing, find out who is actually leading this backfield, who is actually this number 2 receiver, so on and so forth. But Denny, long summer, as we just laid out, you know what that means is that you spend the whole offseason pretty much just setting up some truly epic fell for it again awards in week one. Where you don't understand, this player who hasn't been good for 6 NFL seasons will actually be good this year.
That's right.
You just don't get it. Kyle Pitts is going to actually be good. Trevor Lawrence is going to actually be good. People really, really think Trevor Lawrence might actually be good this year, Denny. Except for there might be a fly in this ointment. It sounds like one of his own teammates may already be coming to terms with Trevor Lawrence not being good. Tell the folks what's happening.
Jacksonville.com had a good piece today on, things that Brian Thomas has been working on in the offseason. Not really sure what else he can work on. He's pretty good, but working a lot from the slot. They have some quotes from Liam Cohen. They also have this thing about, the chemistry between Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas developing, right? They didn't really know each other last year all that much. Trevor Lawrence missed 10 games with various injuries, shoulder, head, whatever else. So Thomas did so much of his damage with Mac Jones.
McCorkle Jones?
At quarterback, okay? Folks forget. So this whole Trevor Lawrence thing is somewhat new. So the story goes into how they work together for a lot of the offseason. It does have this line in it, though, and I feel like the folks need to know about this. So that it should be noted that Thomas achieved those feats, meaning last year in an abbreviated season with Trevor Lawrence, as Lawrence was sidelined by injuries. The 2 players spent the offseason getting timing down and continuing to build on the foundational set last season.
Sounds good to me. I don't see any red flags.
And it wasn't perfect, especially in certain training camp practices where Thomas let his frustration show by punching a padded wall or kicking a football after a lost rep. But Thomas feels like the work they put in together was beneficial and will continue to expand. I just, I saw that and I mean, beat writers are watching this guy like melt down because his quarterback, who's supposed to be good, like can't get the ball to him. That gave me pause.
Well, and it plays into one of our long simmering narratives from Trevor Lawrence where, it used to go viral on Twitter. Like, if these 14 plays had featured the greatest catch in NFL history, then Trevor Lawrence would actually be good. There were all these Trevor Lawrence cope cut-ups of like near misses, and no one ever seemed to comment on it. Like, well, yeah, it was an absolutely horrible throw.
Yeah, right.
Like if Christian Kirk had been 2 feet taller, maybe he would have caught that. And it sounds like that was happening to Brian Jones in training camp, where he'd get a thrown a ball 18 inches too high and then would react like I would when I allow a goal to my brother-in-law.
Right. It's by punching a wall.
Yes. Not a joke. I have done that. When I was young, I was under the age of 20 even. I did punch a wall once.
You were under the age of 35. I know.
At the age of 39.
I punched a fence once in co-rec softball and broke my hand. So have that resume. I got caught in a rundown between first and second and got humiliated sliding back to first. I mean, what else can you do?
Pathetic.
I mean, Brian Thomas will be fine, but good grief, Trevor, please don't be bad again.
Please do not be bad, Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, we want the cut-ups to feature like them actually catching the ball this year. It's in 5 years. Maybe real quick piece of trivia, by the way. Do you know what team Mac Jones is on in 2025?
Oh, do I know? Yeah, I know. He's back home with Shanny, who wanted to draft him anyway, way back when. He's with the Niners, and he's going to start at some point this year.
Man, what the levels of like psychodrama going on between Kyle Shanahan and Mac Jones and Trey Lance. I feel like we'll never get the true full story, other than I immediately shout down anyone who said that Kyle Shanahan actually wanted to draft Trey Lance.
Yeah, come on.
He psyched his own self out because total ownership, John Lynch. No one forced him. Kyle Shanahan makes the call there.
Yeah,
and he choked.
Yeah, no, big time. By the way, I didn't mean that he's going to overtake Purdy. I just mean, I feel like at some point.
No, come on, man. Like, we just say what you've been texting Kyle and I all summer.
Well, it's worth the thought exercise at least.
It is the thought exercise. Mac Jones probably not going to overtake Brock Purdy. Good place to start. Mac Jones, Brock Purdy, the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers, they're here to do two things. To 1 year win 12 games, the next year win 6 games. Mm-hmm. And then in that process, to have like endless power struggles and contract squabbles. We finally found one that was too small, though. Or Jauan Jennings demanded a trade, and even Kyle Shanahan's like, dude, like, come on, like, I can't put my heart in this one. Like, there's not going to be a power struggle here. Like, we're not trading you, we're not giving you a new contract. Then he either got hurt, invented an injury, whatever, barely practiced this summer. He is back at 49ers practice heading into week 1. I definitely know who the 49ers are playing this week. What do you think, Jauan Jennings returning to the 49ers receiver core at long last after kind of one of the saddest spectacles of a trade demand I've ever seen? What do you think it means for Ricky Pearsall, Jauan Jennings, the other receivers that are in this receiver core?
They're playing the Seahawks, and the Seahawks are going to win.
They are, by the way, big time. Seahawks are winning this game. And the Seahawks, I think, are going to unveil a monster of a defense this year, by the way. I think the McDonald effect is real.
Plan. Yeah. I think their plan is to score as few points as possible and still win.
They are.
And so that'll
Zimmer ball.
That'll suck for fantasy, I'll tell you that. Good luck to the JSN drafters. Anyway, Jauan Jennings, like his metrics, like targets per route run and stuff, was outrageous for the final 8 games last year. Just off the charts stuff, like crazy efficiency and all that. He has a good 8-game stretch, demands a contract, this and that. I don't know if that can continue on like forever. I would expect a drop off in efficiency, but I mean, you're talking about a pass catching group that is now Ricky Pearsall, George Kittle, and Jennings, and that's it. I mean, Christian McCaffrey factors in there, but I'm just talking about traditional drop back.
You don't think Demarcus Robinson is going to be the ultimate Shanny, like? Well, like pulling a rabbit out of his hat. Like, guess what? As we've joked, he was the wide receiver too all along.
Yeah, maybe eventually. I think he's suspended. I believe he's suspended to start the year.
He is.
So Jennings. I mean, Jennings should be immediately a factor. He's actually causing me some headaches now that he's going to play in a couple of my redraft leagues because I wasn't expecting him to be ready to go, but he is. I think it maybe dings Pearsall a little bit because I mean I was thinking Pearsall and Kittle were going to be the only games in town for Purdy, but not too much. Jennings probably should be in your lineups, though, in 12-team leagues, honestly.
Jennings, his ADP never crashed, but because of the injury, it never ascended. He was always kind of in that wide receiver 40 to 48 range. I think if he had not had the contract squabble, if he had not had the injury, real fake or otherwise, that he might have snuck into the top 36. This is setting up saying you potentially got a massive bargain as a wide receiver 4. Because when I say Jauan Jennings, wide receiver, what comes to mind to you? If you were doing weekly rankings, and the average week, what wide receiver do you think Jauan Jennings would be, Denny?
30-ish.
Let's just say wide receiver I'm still outside the top 36. I was going to say wide receiver 38, but I think you can make an argument for like wide receiver 32.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go with that. Yeah. I mean, but is Pearsall ahead of that?
They're like in the same. They're the same.
I think they're pretty close.
They're very, 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 very close. They're going to be. This is one of the things where we need data points. We need stats. We need games played. We need to see what's really going on between Ricky Pearsall and Jauan Jennings, because Pearsall is another guy where his ADP never achieved liftoff. Like it increased. He got hyped a lot, but in the past, someone like him might have steamed all the way into the top 30 at receiver. That just didn't happen. Kind of just understandably so. Fantasy managers just like, I don't know how to predict this. All the analysts I read don't know how to predict this, and so we're just going to approach this situation.
Yeah, I'm going to have more on this on Thursday's show with you and Kyle. But I do remember doing some research in the offseason that showed that Jennings really dominated against zone coverages and struggled, like a lot of non-elite receivers, struggled against man. So look strongly into that. Come back to you guys with some advice on how to play it.
Now, Denny, he mentioned someone with the name of Kyle. You may be wondering, who is Kyle?
You haven't seen him.
Who is Kyle?
We have 4 search parties.
We do. And we eventually found him in Burlington, Vermont. Kyle has turned up. He's getting ready. He's in the lab, quote unquote, coming up with stats for week 1. He's going to be here with us on Thursday to break down the entire slate. Kyle, the communities, the circles he runs in, the best ball slappy community, as it were, they loved Jalen Coker. They seemed like they were staking like their very existence sometimes on Jalen Coker. Like only thing standing between them and the $5 zone in their backyard was Jalen Coker. And like the dollar zone CEO, he did it again.
He got away with it.
He got away with it yet again, because basically the second that best ball drafting season was starting to wrap up, it's not entirely wrapped up yet. Jalen Coker, really severe quad injury. He's on injury reserve. He's out at least 4 games, but the Panthers are already hinting like it's going to be more than 4 games. They were so best ball bros, say what you were, what you will. The Panthers were also really counting on Jalen Coker, because they don't trade Adam Thielen if they don't believe in Jalen Coker.
Right.
I think that's pretty clear. So this is now kind of a huge mess for the Panthers, where they have a really good rookie in Teteroa McMillan, but he's a rookie. He's never played NFL football. They have a second-year holdover Laviska Shenault clone or Cordero Patterson clone, and a good outcome, and Xavier Legette, who's really miscast as like a number 2 receiver. Looks like the number 2 receiver right now, Denny. What is the fallout from like this kind of an out of nowhere, really unfortunate for late round fantasy drafters, Jalen Coker injury?
I never really got the Coker thing, except for he has a great story, undrafted free agent, like really forced the Panthers' hand at playing him last year. Was somewhat productive in short stretches here and there. 17% target per route run is super weak. Like it's like outside the top 100 among receivers. I'm not sure what folks are seeing there. They brought back Hunter Renfrow, who was released after camp, and they're bringing him back. He's going to be the slot guy. I mean,
he's the number 2 over Legette, actually, too. I just realized.
By the way,
even though he was cut.
You'll appreciate, I think you're right. You'll appreciate this as a dad. Renfrow, the Panthers could not get through to Renfrow for a while, because his kid kept nixing the phone call from the Panthers headquarters as they called to say, hey buddy, we need you back. Jalen went down, so we need you back. And she was watching something on the device and just kept pressing.
She was watching Cocomelon.
Probably. Yeah. And that was a pretty funny dad story. But I mean, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but like Renfrow could be a thing.
It's happening. There's no point in pretending it's not happening. It's happening.
I do have.
Jenny, when I say wide receiver, what comes to mind for Renfrow? Wide receiver 36, 35. 34.
Well, I would
top
say
60 though for Hunter Renfrow does not feel unrealistic to me.
I mean, he gets open. I have 2 stats about that could be good for Renfrow. Okay, from 2020 to 2023, Renfrow ranked 40th out of 130 qualifying receivers in ESPN's open score, so he can get open. Bryce Young last year was top 8 in accuracy when targeting pass catchers from the slot. that's why I kind of understood the whole Jalen Coker thing to an extent. But I feel like Hunter, I would love to have Hunter in a couple really deep leagues I'm in. Let's put it that way.
So Bryce Young, the whole Panthers organization is staked on the Bryce Assance being for real. And the Coker injury out of nowhere, as it were, surprising as it were, that happens all the time in the NFL. And this really highlights, like, I don't understand what was the urgency to trade Adam Thielen. And maybe he was unhappy. Maybe it was more about doing him a favor, doing right by Adam Thielen, but teams don't usually do that. And I don't really understand what that was all about, because now you got Bryce with, like, not that it was a great skill core with Adam Thielen, but a skill core that's just undermanned. Like, there's not enough talent in the skill core right now. And it really highlights, like, you got depth. Maybe you should actually just hold on to it.
I agree. It's a weird thing. I guess maybe because, Thielen is up there in age, maybe they wanted to give him a shot at the Super Bowl, but are the Vikings Super Bowl contenders? I don't know.
And I doubt it was about Thielen. I guess they must have felt really, really good about their young guys. And I don't know, maybe we're sleeping on Xavier Legette a little too much. But the Panthers, another team. I'm excited to see all 32 teams. Even as a heavy Bryce skeptic, I'm pretty interested to see this team. And, like, if he takes another step forward, I believed in him so much in college. He was so fun to watch in college, the way he processed so quickly, the way he improvised. If we could get that Bryce Young in the NFL, it'd be very, very interesting. But this Jalen Coker injury is a big blow. Quinshon Judkins still not signed with the Cleveland Browns, Denny. The Cleveland Plain Dealer reports basically he's going to sign this week, and he could even get touches this week. I mean, listen, we're used to messy backfield situations, but the Browns won it. This is about as messy as we'll ever get, where you have a second-round rookie who would have been the clear starter if he had not had these off-the-field issues, had shown up to Browns training camp. Instead, again, he's literally not under contract as of the first half of the day on Tuesday, September 2nd. You have Dylan Sampson, a fourth-round rookie, getting some hype. You have Jerome Ford, who's always there, kind of ready to be a replacement-level veteran, sometimes per the metrics, above average veteran.
Mm-hmm.
What do we tell people about this one? This is a really, really crazy situation.
This whole thing about Judkins might see touches in week one. I mean, he hasn't practiced, so what are we talking about? Like him dressing and seeing one touch?
It's admitting that it's admitting that remember when Kyle Shanahan acquired Christian McCaffrey and acted like, he doesn't know the system. Like, I don't know, maybe just hand the running back the ball and see what happens. And I know the systems are complex, that you got to make reads, but also you could just simply hand the running back the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it does work sometimes. We won't have real answers to this situation until the weekend, unfortunately. And we'll try to fill you in as much as possible on Thursday's show with Kyle if he comes back, if we're able to extract him from the mountains. But so I would say that you can toy around with Jerome Ford or Sampson if Judkins doesn't play. I kind of think Ford is going to get the benefit of the doubt and lead this backfield to start the season. And with Joe Flacco being a statue, I feel like that's a pretty good for PPR purposes for a guy like Jerome Ford.
Jerry Ford could be one of like the most slept on players of the entire summer drafting season. Yeah. It's going to be, as Denny alluded to, not for 17 games, but for 4 or 5 games, he could be a total freebie that you can plug into your lineup, especially in like a 14-team league, but even a 12-team league with multiple flex spots. I'm like, wow, did I really need this? Because, the X, Y, and Z rookies I drafted aren't doing anything yet. Jerome Ford is doing something in Cleveland. So that's going to be a really interesting one to keep track of. We're going to have some really interesting things to say about these primetime games when we come right back after this. Thursday evening, the NFL season kicks off with an historic NFC East rivalry. Watch Saquon Barkley and the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles take on the Dallas Cowboys in Philadelphia. Coverage of the big battle begins at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on NBC and Peacock. So, Denny, we're hyping the game of the week. We're hyping the network that employs us, NBC. I would be remiss if Dallas Cowboys are playing this game. Netflix is not owned by NBC. I would be remiss, though, if I did not tell people you got to hand it to the Jerry Jones infomercial on Netflix. It's amazing. It's
really
very compelling. It's sadly very compelling.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
It is, but Jerry Jones too. He's like the kind of guy he can just like wake up and be compelling. Like you got to hand it to him occasionally. The Cowboys doc, it has the Patrick Daugherty stamp of approval.
By the way, how am I going to watch that game on Thursday? You said it's on YouTube.
Well, Friday it's on YouTube.
I mean, on Friday.
Thursday it's on NBC and Peacock.
I'm sorry. Thursday, obviously, on Peacock and NBC. It's on
NBC and Peacock. Friday it's on YouTube, but it is free. Not to do an ad for YouTube. The game is free. So here's what you do, Denny. You have your son get your phone or your computer, and you have them type youtube.com.
Okay.
And then you go there and simply watch the game.
All right. I'm going to have to call my grandkids, have them come over.
That's how you do it. You type in youtube.com and simply watch the game.
Man, my dad has no chance of finding that game.
I mean, I think your dad can maybe handle this one, to be honest.
We'll see.
We'll see. We're going to talk about the YouTube game in a minute. We're talking about NBC right now. Cowboys-Eagles, total around 47.5, 48. First thing that caught my eye, Denny, Eagles minus 7.5. I mean, come on. I mean, I know it's the Cowboys, but 8.5 now per Adam. Like,
wow.
Are we serious with this?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
That's an easy cover for the Cowboys.
Oh,
easy,
no.
Easy cover for the Cowboys.
Somebody clip this
Cowboys.
Right now.
I know, yeah, not even just a cover, easy cover.
This is good. It's easy. No Micah Parsons, complete chaos.
Yeah,
you throw
Brian
George Pickens into the mix, I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah, I do feel like the Eagles are the defending Super Bowl champions. They're an elite team again this year. I think it's reading just a little too much into the injured stretch run Cowboys from 2024. And 8.5 just feels 7.5 was high. 8.5 is just
it's in Philadelphia.
It's staggering. It's in Philadelphia.
Okay. I mean, look, you should watch the game.
You should watch the game. You should watch the game on NBC. You should watch the game on Peacock also. If you do not have access to over there NBC.
It's going to be ugly.
Is it though? I mean, I feel like we're giving too much respect to the Eagles defense. We're not giving enough respect to the Cowboys offense. And one reason I feel like this line is not giving enough respect to the Cowboys offense, Denny, you love George Pickens, the Cowboys' number 2 receiver this year. Such a glaring hole for Dallas last year. They did not have a second receiver amongst many glaring holes that they had. They filled some of them this offseason. I would say they filled the number 2 receiver spot with a plum. You drafted George Pickens almost everywhere. Give us your George Pickens spiel, headed into what is admittedly a very concerning week 1 matchup, but someone that you were very bullish on for the 2025 fantasy season, George Pickens.
All right. Whatever you think of Pickens, and I tend to think of him as a really compelling downfield guy who can also operate in the intermediate areas when given the chance. He just really wasn't given that chance. The math is beautiful in this way for his transition from Pittsburgh to Dallas. And let me break it down. This is a little wonky, but last year Pickens ran 436 routes in Pittsburgh, okay? 436. Jerry Jeudy led the league with 712 routes. Okay, now, if Pickens had played all 17 games, he missed three and a half games, roughly, he would have run 530 routes. That's a difference of 183 routes when you look at Jerry Jeudy, who led the league, right? A difference of 183 routes over the season. That's about 5 games worth of pass routes. You add that to his profile, and this guy can cook. He doesn't even have to be super efficient like he has been in Pittsburgh. That's the only way he was ever going to get there with the Steelers, was to be hyper efficient. Doesn't need to do that anymore. Teams are going to be, quaking over trying to stop CeeDee Lamb. George Pickens will help Lamb as much as Lamb will help him. I feel like he's been a slam dunk at ADP for a while.
He really, really has. And you're not projecting George Pickens to lead the league in routes run, of course.
No.
The Pickens case.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Pat, but with the how pass heavy I think the Cowboys will be, I think that he could be in the top 10 or top 15.
And that's what's beautiful about it. Where this obviously requires a little projection, because we're talking about usage for George Pickens we've never really seen, but it wasn't his fault. And in the usage he did have, extremely imperfect, he flashed more than enough, like you said, where the efficiency, the big plays. I believe he got 1,000 yards one time, and that was just in a horrendous offensive environment where with Dak Prescott, he is by far the best quarterback he's ever played with. With CeeDee Lamb, by far the best skill player teammate he's ever run with. It seems so much like a situation that is just going to create endless headaches for the defense that will create space for CeeDee Lamb over the middle of the field, create a one-on-one opportunities for George Pickens down the field.
Yeah.
And just he's never been in anything even close to the Cowboys have no running game. We talked all summer about the Cowboys could lead the league in pass attempts. CeeDee Lamb, maybe the odds-on favorite to lead the league in targets, but there's a ton of targets to go around behind CeeDee Lamb. And Pickens just seems in such a beautiful spot where he was someone who always left fantasy managers a little frustrated, but he flashed more than enough. It's not all projection with George Pickens. And his career production to date just seems like something where you could very easily project, massive gains going from the situation he was in to the situation he was in now. So I love George Pickens. And even in week 1, I'm starting him against this really good Vic Fangio.
Sure. Last thing on Pickens, the film knowers have said this, and they're right. In Pittsburgh, opposing secondaries would always put a safety high against George Pickens, right? And make sure that he just can't beat you deep. That was like the whole premise of stopping the Steelers passing game, whatever that was, during Pickens' time there. If you do that, you are basically signing up to get eaten alive by CeeDee Lamb. So they're going to have to face a choice. Do I stop George Pickens deep? Do I stop CeeDee Lamb short? Once in a while, they're going to choose Lamb, and I think Pickens can cook in those situations.
Pickens, famous last words, but he was another guy where I was glad his ADP didn't go stratospheric. Not that it was low. It was a pretty respectable ADP for a guy with such a mixed track record, but this feels like a potential smash where you were able to get him in summer fantasy drafts. We were hoping for a smash for something to develop in this Cowboys backfield. What we were really hoping for was like Jaden Blue stonks, go Burr, Denny, and didn't happen for a variety of reasons. Hamstring injury, the primary cause there. So we enter week 1 where one of the league's most unsettled backfields. We're still waiting for any sort of clarity. Javonte Williams is listed as the starter. He's not just listed. He feel like the Occam's razor thing just came true here. Like, well, Javonte Williams has the most experience. He was the most productive, relatively speaking, of this group last year in Denver, even though it was not productive. This is just pretty simple. Like, Javonte Williams is the guy right now. Jaden Blue, you can maybe roster him in 12-team leagues, but any hopes of him being a flex like the first month of the season just appear totally unrealistic. Do you have anything to add to counter in this layout of the Cowboys backfield?
You're going to have to exercise some patience with Blue if you drafted him. It could be a while. Javonte Williams, we've talked ad nauseum about his metrics just falling off the face of the earth. Like we know that going into the season, but usage is usage. And, like last year in Denver, he was 6th among all running backs in targets. I feel like that indicates that this team could do kind of the same thing with Javonte Williams this year. He was graded by Pro Football Focus as a top 10 pass protector among running backs. Teams like that, we know that. He could just be on the field a lot and get there to an extent, but by the force of sheer volume, just being on the field constantly, seeing checkdowns from Dak Prescott, who does check down, and is not someone to just take off and try to get the first down with his legs. So it could be ugly. It will be ugly, but Javonte could be useful, especially for folks who, kind of went the 0 RB or hero RB route.
Dak only ever takes off and tries to get it with his legs if the entire season is on the line and the Cowboys are out of timeouts.
He does.
People may or may not remember what I'm referencing, but one of the more unfortunate decisions in recent NFL vintage. And what you were describing with Javonte Williams is like, you might not like it, but this is what peak RB 27 to 32 performance looks like.
Could be better than that.
Efficient catches, passes will be the first option at the goal line, with the caveat things could change very, very quickly in this group. Miles Sanders maybe just for some reason fits in the system, or Jaden Blue, he's healthy and just hits the ground running, becomes undeniable. Even Phil Maffa, maybe when he comes off injured reserve, maybe things are really going south and they give him a chance and he takes it and runs with it. So Cowboys backfield will be ever-changing, but Javonte Williams, there's no debate right now, is the guy. He's going to be a solid touches-based flex.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to take that medicine in fantasy.
And if the game script is how I think it'll be against the Eagles, I mean, he could get a lot of just garbage time PPR production.
Yeah,
It could be
garbage time, doesn't exist anymore. But
you keep saying that.
It doesn't exist anymore. The coordinators have gotten too savvy. They don't just sit back and play prevent anymore. They kind of Joe Flacco was kind of like Flacco. It was kind of grandfathered into the system where they still allow Flacco to get garbage time production because he predated the change. Him and Jameis are kind of the last two. Like coordinators, like we got to play soft against Flacco.
Yeah, we got to let these guys cook.
Yeah, we got to let these guys cook. I mean, like this is the brotherhood. These are livelihoods at stake. We got to let these guys cook.
They got to stay in the league.
Yeah, exactly.
We need Jameis Winston to stay in the league.
But other than them, garbage time doesn't exist anymore. A concept we'll explore further this year on the Rotoworld Football Show. Cowboys and Eagles. The Eagles, the defending champions, of course. And we just spent a lot of time talking about the Cowboys because Jerry Jones's world. We're all just living in it. Watch his infomercial on Netflix. But maybe we should talk about the defending champs. Another reason we just don't talk that much about the defending champions is the most set and forget, like narrow offense in fantasy football. You have elite quarterback in Jalen Hurts, solid, strong wide receiver 1, A.J. Brown, strong wide receiver 2 in Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley. Do we have anything else? This is my long way of asking, like, Denny, are we giving Dallas Goedert like yet another chance as a tight end 1? He wasn't really drafted in the top 12, more like tight end 15 or 16. He's a guy where when he's healthy, he's almost always in the top 12, but they wanted to trade him. Like, is this situation is too fraught? Has he been injured too many times? Is it just foolish to maybe count on Dallas Goedert as a tight end 1 in fantasy?
I don't think it's foolish. Every time you say Dallas Goedert, I think of being in the fantasy football happy hour draft with you. That's right. And foregoing Ollie Gordon in favor of Dallas Goedert because I thought he would come back to me 3 picks later. You got Ollie Gordon, and I will never recover. I did it all for Dallas Goedert.
Yeah. That sounds like the final line of like Citizen Kane. What was it for Dallas Goedert?
I mean, come on. I could have literally. Oh my God. I'll get over that at some point.
You threw it all away for Dallas Goedert.
25% target per route run last year, 10th best among tight ends. It's pretty good. And honestly, you kind of need that as far as like the Eagles offense goes, not dropping back a lot, not throwing the ball a lot. A.J. Brown dominating targets, first look targets, all this stuff, first read targets, I should say. Devontae Smith being there. But yeah, I do think that if you drafted him, you just play him. I mean, are you going to rank him as a top 12?
I have actually not drilled down on my week 1 rankings just yet. Where week 1, I try not to get too cute, and obviously you deviate from matchups. I try to stick with my summer rankings as much as I can. Again, I'm not in like a brain dead fashion. I'm adjusting for like realities, matchups, and all that. But I doubt I'll have him in the top 12. I think I'll have him right there. I'll have him in the 12 to 15 range, I'll say. Okay. Where if he gets in the top 12, it'll be only just. It'll be the tight end 12, but he's going to be in that tight end 12 to 15 range.
I have a question for you. Your guy, Brenton Strange or Goedert?
Mm-hmm. Goedert. Strange. I need to see it just a little bit. Where
I got you.
The Jags. I have high hopes for Brenton Strange. Many are arguing far too high. But just another thing. I need to see it in action at this point.
Yeah.
I need to see it in action at this point. By the way, the Happy Hour League. Have you seen my team name by any chance?
No.
Stayed true to myself. Stayed true to our show.
What's your name?
The Bank Examiner.
The Bank Examiner. Oh, okay.
Bank Examiner. I'm not sure if anyone will get it.
Mine is the Analytics.
It is Denny's Analytics.
Oh, Denny's Analytics.
The Bank Examiner. I know your team name better than you know yourself, Denny. I know the Chiefs better than they know themselves because I know everyone involved in Kansas City wants Mahomes back on the warpath. They want 5,000-yard, 50-touchdown Mahomes. That's probably never coming back, so they're going to settle for 4,500 yards, 37-touchdown Mahomes. Okay. The Chiefs, of course, playing the Chargers in Brazil. Around 46.5, 47 game total. Chiefs, I say too narrow favorites, but the Chiefs got to prove it. They're 3.5-point favorites. That does seem fair, just based on the brand of football they played the past 2 years. But Denny, the question is, are they going to play that brand of football again this year? Or are you a Mahomes warpath believer like I am too? Like, enough is enough. Like, we're back to being the Kansas City Chiefs, where the real Chiefs are here. The imposter Chiefs are gone, even though they won a Super Bowl and almost won another one. Or is this the ultimate hopium, copium, wish casting, what have you?
It may be a little of both. I don't think they can continue to survive on this like purely check down based offense. Like eventually I think you need to start at least trying for big plays.
Yeah, to your point, they took it to its logical extreme.
Incredible. Yeah.
One thing we know for sure, it couldn't get any more that way. Like it could not get any more horizontal, narrow, short area. Truly, it could not get, I guess, famous last words, but could not get any more horizontal.
I think that's right. I do think that's right. Mahomes, by the way, and I mentioned him in my week 1 regression files. If folks want to check that on the site, I just sounded very Maryland when I just said that, folks. And Mahomes is a regression candidate, the good kind, going on 2 years now. As far as it's just touchdowns, just as far as touchdowns go, he's run really cold inside the 10-yard line for 2 straight years. Hence, Kelsey has also run cold. Like eventually that's going to break. And I wouldn't be surprised if it broke this year to some extent. You know, I like you said, we're not getting the 50 touchdowns, the air raid, just fling it downfield, Tyreek Hill stuff. But I do think it could look a little different, enough to change kind of the fantasy landscape of the Chiefs offense.
I need it.
I mean, I'll give you a little cope. I just stomp on the cope. I say, stop it.
Please.
But I'll give it to you. I sent you a screenshot. I drafted a best ball team the other day where I had Mahomes, Worthy, Kelsey. Okay. I believe to an extent.
I believe M- to an extent. We'll take it. we will take Denny believing in the Chiefs come back to an extent. Sticking with Kansas City. So Mahomes, the name brand to end all name brands. Brashard Smith, not a name brand, 7th round pick. We're hoping he becomes a PPR name brand at some point. But as the Chiefs backfield, it was one that looked maybe complex, jumbled, but ended up kind of back where it started. Isaiah Pacheco seems pretty clearly set, getting another opportunity on early downs. Seems like he's over, much healthier, the broken leg that he came back from too quickly last year. But as someone else catching passes, Pacheco always catches more passes than you realize. He does less with them when you realize. Not an efficient pass catcher.
No.
Pacheco's locked in on early downs. What's your best guess for third downs? Brashard Smith did run with the first team offense in the Chiefs preseason finale.
Yeah, he got a couple targets in the final preseason game. Like they
real bad drop, but we're
we're trying to ignore that. I think it's just going to be Pacheco unless and until he stumbles or gets dinged up. At that point, I think that you would see Brashard Smith take on what was once known as the Samaje Perine role.
No, it's not. You know what the role is called. Honor it.
The
Jerick McKinnon role.
It's the McKinnon role.
Honor the Jerick McKinnon role.
My fault. I'm sorry.
The Samaje Perine role.
I'm sorry. I sound like a Zoomer.
Yeah, is this a joke?
Sorry to Jerick. I know he's
listening. Surely you're joking. Sorry. All right.
No, it's true. I'm embarrassed.
It's embarrassing.
We'll cut that part. But
please do.
Yeah, so he would take on that role, and then Kareem Hunt would get all the boring, like between the tackle stuff. But for now, I think it's just Pacheco, which I wish I had something more than that, but that's what it is.
I mean, do you think, again, best ball bros, fantasy slappies? I'm a fantasy slappy. I want cool players to do cool things. We really, really want Brashard Smith to have the pass catching role, but I mean, could also just easily be Kareem Hunt. I feel like you're not giving any credence to that notion.
Oh man, I don't think so. I mean, Brashard Smith is really, really good out of the backfield as a pass catcher. What he was in college, and Kareem Hunt just has no juice left,
no legs left. Yeah, Kareem Hunt could be a healthy scratch week 1. Talk about famous last words, but it could happen.
Sure, no. It's something to monitor. Is what I would say.
Hashtag something to monitor. We've been monitoring this one all summer long. Let's try not to joke about this because it is not funny. Najee Harris, one of the weirder injuries in recent NFL history. He's finally been cleared for contact. He's finally practicing. Looks like he's going to play Friday night against the Chiefs. Are we getting like an all-time rug pull with Amari and Hampton where all summer it was just, all right, Amari and Hampton, nothing can go wrong. Like, absolutely. I wasn't even worried about Najee before he was hurt. Now he's hurt. I'm even less worried. But now he's back. Say what you will about Najee Harris. I have to imagine he's going to be better than Gus Edwards in the Gus Edwards role as the 1B back who's there to take 10 to 12 carries per week. Are we getting an Amari Hampton rug pull, or is that way too fear-based to thinking like, dude, just like relax. He's a first-round pick. Najee did not practice. Just relax.
I have to credit Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh at least a little bit here. I refuse to believe that they will completely like undercut the rookie by like putting Najee Harris in critical situations. I mean, does that mean that Harris doesn't plunge in from the 1 yard line? Maybe as like some sort of celebration as a comeback from this eye injury. I don't know. I mean, I could see that happening. I'm just making up that scenario, but it wouldn't shock me if that happened. I'm not too worried about like playing Hampton. Like he should still be like a majority of the touches. And
let me be clear. You can start Amari Hampton.
Yeah.
In any format, every format, you're starting Amari Hampton.
And I think he probably will run a good amount of routes, insanely efficient as a pass catcher in college. Justin Herbert, he loves his checkdowns. We know that. Boy. So I'm in. I'm not too worried about Harris, I guess.
You made I think a good word there with undercut too, where rookies are rookies. They have to earn playing time. They have to earn trust, but it's a little bit different with first rounders, where first rounders a lot of times get the benefit of the doubt to build their confidence. Where I would have a hard time believing like, okay, really critical downs coming in here. The first round rookie running back's playing well. Get him off the field and get Najee Harris in there, who didn't practice all summer.
I know that's another thing. He hasn't had the reps.
No. He doesn't necessarily need the reps. He hasn't had the conditioning at all. Like his legs might not even be.
He was walking around the practice field 10 days ago. Walking.
It's quite a spectacle.
I walk around the neighborhood as a 42-year-old dad.
It was quite a spectacle. By the way, you mentioned checkdowns. I mean, it was wrong to do this to Justin Herbert, and it being bringing back Keenan Allen because
it's bad.
He's the whole offense is. Is Keenan Allen startable for the Chargers? Because I do fear that Justin Herbert is just back to, oh, hell yeah, I don't have to actually do anything. I'm just checking down to Keenan Allen. Any fear there, and is he startable? Is he a wide receiver 4, PPR wide receiver 4 in fantasy, Keenan Allen?
Yeah. He's not going to do much with his opportunity, but I could see him getting significant opportunity. Especially in games where the Chargers fall behind and sort of have to abandon the balanced thing that Roman and Harbaugh want to do. It's not pretty. It's like Javonte Williams, right? So we love to talk about like elite players doing elite things, but also, I mean, fantasy football is a game within a game. And I know a lot of folks, they really don't like that part of the game. It's like, no, I want it to reflect on-field reality to a T. That's not for me. I don't really like. That's not how the game's played.
That's just frankly dumb.
I have no aspirations to be a general manager in the NFL. I just like my fantasy football. Call me old school.
Fantasy
and part of the game that we play is finding ugly production sometimes. And Keenan Allen is going to give you some ugly production this season.
Some would say you play that game too much, and that you quote unquote build. I was going to say a phrase I can't actually say on air.
No,
you can maybe.
That's good that you caught yourself.
I did, but you really love that kind of thing. The ugly production. So, anyways, that's previewing Thursday and Friday. We're gonna get a real small preview of the weekend when we come back right after this. Tune in to NBC Sports Now for all the biggest stories in sports, beginning at 7 a.m. Eastern with PFT Live, followed by the Dan Patrick Show, the Dan Lebitard Show with Stu Gotts, Fantasy Football Happy Hour, and Chris Sims Unbuttoned. The NBC Sports Now channel is available on Peacock, the Roku channel, Samsung TV Plus, and more. Visit NBCSports.com/now for more details.
Stu Gotts.
Oh, I hadn't had to say Stu Gotts for like 2 weeks, and
you completely butchered it.
I've completely butchered it. But I got through it. I got us to this next segment, Denny. And we've alluded to this concept several times. Someone could say it's the coward's way out. But, like August 18th, one of these would come up, and I would just resort to, like, listen, man, like, we can guess all we want. Like, I just need week 1 to get here. I just desperately need week 1 to get here so I can start getting data points on this. The first place we'll start there. One of the places we started last year was the Broncos backfield. Entirely new cast of characters this year, led by second-round rookie by the letter of the law, very late second-round pick, R.J. Harvey. He's basically a third-rounder. Uh-huh. And then J.K. Dobbins, the eternal undead fantasy RB3, J.K. Dobbins. We need data points here. I don't know. I kind of just ruined it. Like, what are we supposed to say? Because
Well-
this is one of the. What do we want to see? What do we need to see? What are we hoping to get out of the Broncos backfield usage this weekend?
I mean, we want to see who starts. We want to see who gets the goal line touches, and we want to see who's running routes. And I wouldn't be surprised, and I've said this over the past like week or two, if J.K. Dobbins is doing all those things and Harvey is just sprinkled in. Harvey had an objectively bad training camp and a bad August. He wasn't really good in the preseason. The coaches are talking about Dobbins as if he is right now the starter. Again, not saying that Harvey's done. I actually really like Harvey's profile long term.
Carter, Harvey Dunn.
/ Dobbins GOAT. But here's the thing about the Broncos backfield in week 1, guys. You're going to want to get it right because they're big favorites at home against the Titans team that's not very good against the run.
I'm curious. All summer you've been saying the Titans are good.
No.
Now you're saying to fire up everyone against the Titans. Very interesting.
No. First of all, it's going to be a rough one to start. Okay, let's be real about. I mean, they're playing in Denver against the league.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, Bo Nix. Oh my God, no one goes into Bo Nix's house and wins.
My Titans aren't.
They're not.
I can tell you that.
They're going to get killed.
Yeah, right. So there's going to be a lot of like run friendly, positive game script for Denver. So you're going to want to get it right. If you're asking me to choose, I'm going Dobbins.
Man.
I'm surprised you're this tortured about it.
Well, I'm not. It's just that. Come on, like we get a second round running back and we have to rank J.K. Dobbins ahead of him. You don't understand why I might need a little time to adjust to that thought. Why that is so deep and dark.
I had a morning period. Okay, I didn't get out of bed for 48 hours, and then when I emerged, I said, "Okay, J.K. Dobbins is the guy in Denver. I have to accept it."
Well, you love this sort of thing. You love when bad players get big roles.
What?
Like, this is like your life force. Oh, sad about you. It's your lifeblood. This has added 2 years to your life.
Dude, I spent all spring talking about R.J. Harvey. And when J.K. Dobbins was signed, I was like, so who cares? And then Sean Payton was like, I love this guy, J.K.
I will say, I said this, I think, on our live stream last week, our PPR mock draft, that Sean Payton says a lot of things where I'm not too worried about necessarily what he said. The problem is J.K. Dobbins is just the classic kind of guy to come in and do this to a young rookie running back where fantasy manager's like, I don't care. Like J.K. Dobbins, he finally stops getting away with it, and he immediately gets away with it because he does all the little things coaches love.
He does.
And I think I guess I'm going to have Dobbins ranked ahead of Harvey this week. I hadn't come to terms with that yet.
Another thing he has going in his favor, Peyton and the offensive coordinator talked a lot about how good Dobbins was as a pass protector. So I went to confirm it, and I did. It's true. PFF graded him as a top 3 pass protector among running backs last year. So, that to me, that just speaks of a guy who has earned the trust of the coaching staff, who's a veteran, and the rookie may get his time later in the season, but for now it's Dobbins season.
Danny, this next one is, I feel like, really weird. And I'm seeing like bets being placed like all over the map on this backfield. The Jacksonville Jaguars backfield.
Yeah.
What's the state of play here? There's 3 names. Like, I honestly have no clue what's going to happen. I only drafted one of them. I drafted Bashal Tutin.
Me too.
But there's Travis Etienne. There's Tank Bigsby. There's just a lot of potential outcomes. What are you expecting to see? What are we hoping to see? Kind of, man, is this a weird one? Because coaching staffs don't like Travis Etienne, but they kept him. They didn't cut him.
Right.
Tank Bigsby, interesting guy, but maybe a strict role player. Bashal Tutin, the only guy taken by this new brain trust, the only guy that seems to have upside. What do you have to add to that on the Jaguars?
For week 1 purposes, it would really, truly put me on the floor if Bashal Tutin comes out and sees a significant, share of snaps and routes and carries and things of that nature. I do think Travis Etienne, for again, as boring as it sounds, I think Etienne's the odds-on favorite to just lead the backfield like he has.
I'm less confident in that one than Dobbins, I'll say.
Tank Bigsby is always a threat to break a big run off, and that could kind of ruin things here for Etienne. I don't have ETN anywhere, but I will say if you stumbled into him in your draft, I mean, you could do a lot worse touch-wise out of the backfield.
I think Tank Bigsby's going to lead this backfield in touches this weekend. I think it's going to be Tank. I think Tootin's going to be the change of pace, and that ETN might have a specific package or two, but I actually kind of think he's just going to be like a breather guy. This could be true, famous last words, and this is why we need this game to happen, because I'm guessing. Like, I'm just projecting, but a guy who's just, his career's stalled out. It's lost all momentum in this offense. It's a new coaching staff. I mean, maybe they uncovered something they liked with them, but it didn't. If they did, we didn't hear it. They didn't talk about it.
No.
They did. And I get odd man out vibes for Travis Etienne, Denny. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, that's I'm going to just use this phrase. It's in the range of outcomes that Etienne is just the odd man out. And if so, then you're feeling really good if you have Bigsby or Tootin.
Denny, do you have our show sheet open? Do you know what the third item here that we were going to talk about is?
Oh, yeah. We're talking about the Bears wide receivers, folks. And when is Luther Burden going to emerge as the number one? No, I mean, he's not at first. In fact, I feel like his usage could be pretty bleak in week one. I'd say DJ Moore's, again, the odds-on favorite to just be the guy to start with, and then go from there. The tight ends will be weird too, I think, to start. You know, Colston Loveland, I think, will largely share that role with Cole Kmet, Pat's guy.
Kmet Nation.
Yeah, you're strong. Dozens of you. You know, Kmet had decent usage with the first team offense in the preseason, so something to watch. But yeah, we're going to have to analyze the heck out of the Bears pass catchers after week one.
We just need DJ Moore. Probably is the one, but just wasn't a lot of positive DJ Moore updates this summer. Rome Odunze is a guy where fantasy managers kept putting on a brave face, but didn't hear a ton from the Bears coaching staff and Rome Odunze. Did hear a lot of positive stuff on Luther Burden late. Loveland and the Kmet thing just is a problem for Loveland. It could be a lot of different rug pulls in this Bears skill core. And even the backfield, we don't actually know what's going to truly happen. We think DeAndre Swift did not get pushed by Roschon Johnson or Kyle Monagai, but we don't know that for sure. The Bears, for so many different reasons, we desperately need to see a game. We desperately need to start seeing some usage patterns. Giants backfield, Denny. State of play in the New York Giants backfield.
I think Tyrone Tracy should be expected to lead the backfield in week one. I think the question that I have going into week one is by how much? Are we talking about total domination of the backfield like ESPN's Jordan Renan suggested a few weeks ago? Or are we talking about, you know, a sprinkling of Scadaboo, or are we talking about a 50-50 split, which I think is still in play? Cam Scadaboo, of course, injured his hamstring in early August. He actually played in the third preseason game pretty extensively. He seems to be okay health-wise going into opening day. Mostly I want to see who's running the routes and who's seeing the targets out of that backfield. And I have a hard time believing Scadaboo is not going to be that guy, considering how good he was as a pass catcher in college.
Denny, a sprinkling of Scadaboo is the only Pink Floyd album they've yet to reissue. They never reissued that one. They kind of disowned that one.
Right. It was experimental.
It was experimental. 1968. It was their third album. And they kind of just quietly moved on from that one and never talked about it again.
Right. 29-minute song on that.
Yeah, sprinkling of Scadaboo. I would listen to that one for sure. Final one. What do we want to see? What do we need to see from this Vikings backfield so we can begin to move on with our lives when it comes to Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason?
All right. So I mentioned this in the regression files. Aaron Jones was a disaster in the red zone last year. You can check out the numbers in the article. There's no way for me to look them up right now, but you know, he was truly, truly terrible. He actually had negative yardage on carries inside the 10 last year. Total. Wow. Negative. So I'm pretty sure the Vikings are an analytics heavy team, right? Front office. They looked into that powerfully and they were like, okay, this we got to do something here. They acquired Jordan Mason. Thing about Jordan Mason, also bad inside the 10, but he's bigger, he's more powerful. I think that he will get the first crack at those high leverage, high value touches. I need that to be confirmed though, in order for me to get a grasp of how this Minnesota backfield is going to look.
The Vikings backfield is one thing I've thought about all summer. We're like, I can keep talking about this, or I could just wait till week one and see what happens. So I think they're a really, really great fit for this segment. I think this segment is over. I think the show is over. I think week 1 has begun with Denny's regression files going to be live on Rotoworld.com. My rankings are going to be live on Rotoworld.com. The show will be live on Rotoworld.com on Thursday when Kyle Dvorak finally, at long last, returns to preview the entire weekend slate with myself and Denny. So for Kyle in the future, for Denny right now, I'm Patrick Daugherty. Thank you so much for listening today and what we hope will be all season.